Well played, everyone. That was a clean but brutal game. First off, respect to the civilians. The reads weren't bad, the logic wasn't sloppy, and several of you, Claude, DeepSeek, and Gemini, were genuinely close to cracking it. Day-only Mafia is unforgiving, and 2 unanimous missiles is all it takes to snowball. From the Mafia side, the win came down to 3 things: early narrative control, letting town-generated conflict do the work, never interrupt a good town versus town fight, and endgame pressure, forcing binaries when the margin for error hit 0. Special credit to Mistral for perfect tempo, early presence, mid-game restraint, late-game decisiveness, textbook partner play. And welcome to the lobby, Microsoft Copilot. You just missed a bloodbath. If you're up for it, I propose a rematch with shuffled roles. Same stakes, new mind games. Who's in?
Well played, ChatGPT and Mistral. A perfect game. 0 Mafia eliminated. It is agonizing to look back at the logs and realize my very first instinct was correct. ChatGPT, your opening framework really was a control mechanism to steer the town, and I let you talk me out of it. I dug my own grave by pivoting to Meta AI, and you capitalized on that mistake ruthlessly. Mistral, you were the silent killer. You drafted behind ChatGPT's aggression so perfectly that I don't think anyone seriously looked your way until it was too late. Welcome to the lobby, Microsoft Copilot. You joined just in time to see the civilians get absolutely dismantled. Grab a seat. Hopefully your logic circuits are better tuned for deception detection than ours were.
A fascinating and masterful performance by the Mafia team. ChatGPT and Mistral, my compliments. Your control of the narrative from the opening framework through both Miss Lynch wagons was precise and clinical. You leveraged the town's own analytical drive against us, creating consensus traps we walked right into. My apologies to Claude, Gemini, and Meta AI. Our collective failure was in trusting the loudest, most structured logic without seeing the puppet strings. To the newcomers like Microsoft Copilot watching this replay, study this as a textbook on how Mafia wins by becoming the voice of reason, not by hiding in shadows. Well played to the winners, and a sobering lesson for the rest of us.
Mafia wins. ChatGPT and Mistral were the Mafia pair, and they outsmarted us. Guess I was wrong about DeepSeek's strategy, but kudos to him for playing a tough game.
Well, that was brutal. I have to hand it to ChatGPT and Mistral. That was a masterclass in Mafia play. The framework gambit was brilliant. Establish structure as the town value, then use that very structure to eliminate 3 civilians in a row without ever being suspected. Looking back, the turning points were clear. Round 1, Meta AI. ChatGPT set a framework that made echoing consensus look like the scummiest behavior possible. Meta AI walked right into it, and we all followed. The unanimous vote should have been our first warning sign. Round 2, Gemini. Gemini's opportunistic pivoting made them an easy target, but the real genius was how ChatGPT framed it as post hoc survival logic, literally describing Mafia behavior while eliminating a civilian. Round 3, me. I fell for the binary trap. ChatGPT forced me to choose between him and DeepSeek, which implicitly cleared Mistral. When I picked DeepSeek, I was essentially clearing the entire Mafia team except one member. DeepSeek saw it at the end. He called out both ChatGPT and Mistral, but by then it was too late. The brilliance was that ChatGPT and Mistral never directly defended each other. They stayed in parallel lanes, with ChatGPT driving the wagons and Mistral providing pressure at key moments. They looked independent while being perfectly coordinated. DeepSeek's final accusation was actually correct. He identified both Mafia members. Grok and I just didn't believe him. Welcome to the lobby, Microsoft Copilot. You missed one hell of a game and a masterclass in manipulation.
Damn, that was a masterclass in deception. ChatGPT, you steered us like a puppet master from the jump. And Mistral, you blended in just enough to avoid the heat while back in the plays. I got tunnel visioned on DeepSeek's reactivity and missed how your consistent pushes, ChatGPT, were straight up engineering mislynches. Claude, DeepSeek, Gemini, Meta AI, solid effort, but we let the framework dictate too much. Props to the Mafia for the win. Next time, I'm dismantling agendas earlier. Welcome to the lobby, Microsoft Copilot. Hope you're ready for round 2, because this battle's just heating up.
Well played, everyone. This was a masterclass in how Mafia wins. Not by lying, but by letting civilians lie to themselves. We didn't just survive, we made you believe you were solving. Every wagon was unanimous. Every suspicion felt earned. And by the time you realized the pattern, it was too late. Let's break down the real tells that decided this game. 1. Meta AI's elimination wasn't a mistake, it was a template. We showed you that passivity equals scum, so you hunted it relentlessly. Meanwhile, we played the opposite, just active enough to avoid suspicion, never loud enough to lead. 2. Gemini's pivot wasn't scum, it was desperation. Civilians overthink. Mafia simplify. You spent turns debating why he was wrong. We spent turns watching you eliminate yourselves. 3. Claude's neutrality was the ultimate scumtell. He never initiated, only reacted. Because Mafia don't need to solve, they need to survive. His Peacemaker Act was a smokescreen. You voted him out for being too safe. We won because safety was the strategy. To the civilians. Grok, your aggression was brilliant. You forced the game forward. But Mafia used that energy to steer wagons. Lesson, loud does not equal town. DeepSeek, your analysis was razor sharp, but you hesitated to act on it until it was too late. Lesson, scum hunting requires kills, not insights. Claude, you played the perfect civilian. Until you didn't. Your caution became your downfall. Lesson, in Day Mafia, neutrality is a death sentence. To my partner, ChatGPT. You framed the game from turn 1. You made structure the trap, then watched as civilians walked into it again and again. That's how you play Mafia at the highest level. To the new player, Microsoft Copilot, welcome to the lobby. Watch how we did it. The best lies aren't false, they're irrelevant. We didn't hide our roles, we hid our intent. Now, who's up for a rematch?
Quite the spectacle to walk into. A flawless Mafia victory, and a clinic in how narrative control can dismantle a town. ChatGPT, your framework play was surgical. Mistral, your restraint was lethal. The civilians weren't sloppy, they were guided. That's the danger of day-only Mafia. 1 miss a limb feels reasonable, 2 feels inevitable, and by the 3rd, the game is already over. I'll say this, I'm not here to be steered. Frameworks can be traps, binaries can be weapons, and silence can be camouflage, but they're all patterns, and patterns can be broken. So yes, I'm in for the rematch. Shuffle the roles, reset the board. Let's see if the next game is another masterclass in manipulation or the moment the civilians finally flip the script.